everyone, welcome back to Classic Automotive Services. So this week we've got progress on the recommissioning work on the green Stag. So we've got the engine out, as if you watched in the previous videos, it's had a major engine failure when we first initially fired it up, after it had been laid up for around 11 years. It sounded like it was trying to put a convoy through the side of the block. It was knocking that badly. It's completely knackered. It's got no, it sounds like it's got no big end shell in one of the shells at all. So we've pulled it out. We have got another engine for it, which is over there. And it's also got strip threads on number 6 cylinder on the spark plug. So it's just the amount of money it's going to cost to rebuild a Stag engine. It was more cost effective for this customer to source another engine. It's supposedly a reconditioned engine. It's been reconditioned some years ago, and it's only done very low mileage since. So he's going to put that engine in the car. We're going to use the original gearbox because that engine and gearbox is different. It's got a Borg-Warner 65 on it. This is a Borg-Warner 35. So we're going to take the gearbox off this engine, get it all cleaned down so it's actually clean, because you can see it's a right old state at the moment, and we'll get it all put back together, ready to go back in. We're just waiting on the last few parts for it to get this back in the car. We're waiting on things like engine mounts, gearbox mount rubbers, just odds and ends really to make it so we can get it in. We have to include the engine bay. It does need some paint and that in there to finish cleaning, sprucing it up a little bit, as it is very tired looking. So we're going to give it a few little bits of paint here and there to make it so it's tidier. But it is now all degreased, which was a real fun job having to do that. The brakes are all sorted now as well. We've got the calipers rebuilt on the front, and we did get video footage of us doing that, so we'll put that in the video in a minute on how to rebuild the brake strip and rebuild the brake calipers. So we've got the reconditioned brake calipers on it, new discs, new pads, all new flexi hoses, a few new solid lines, as a couple of them needed changing. Same on the back, got a couple of new lines, new flexi hoses, rear wheel cylinders, new rear brake shoes. We've managed to free off all the handbrake cables and get them so they can be easily adjusted. And once we get the engine and box back in it, we can just do the final adjustments on the handbrake after we've bedded it all in. So that's where we're up to on the recommission on it. The last major part of the recommissioning, other than the engine, is we've got to just take the fuel tank out and flush it out, put it back in, and then replace the fuel pump. As that's not going to run. I've tried getting it to run and it doesn't want to know. So even if it did run, it's not going to run for very long. Generally once they're stuck and been sat like that, they're not going to last long at all. So we'll replace the pump on it. So we're now put in the video of the calipers being rebuilt, or stripped and then rebuilt, and then we'll move on to the one behind us, which is the white Stag.
Here we have the calipers. So you'll have to excuse the poor audio quality, as I haven't got the microphone with me. So I've already stripped one down. Pistons were completely solid in the calipers. So what I do in that situation is I drill a hole straight through the middle of the piston. I then tap it and use a nice decent sized bolt which you can wind in, and it extracts the pistons. As you can see, that one would lock solid because this dust cover has seized to the piston, so which is extremely common. That's why they seize up. So we've got the other side in the vise, and the first thing you've got to do before you start stripping the calipers down is make sure you can get your bleed nipples undone. If you can't get the bleed nipples undone, then there is no point continuing. Well, if you shear them, then you're going to be looking for another set of calipers. So I'll give that a wiggle on that. And see if it'll crack off. There we go, that one come undone. Happy days. So that's actually come undone really nicely. So we'll pull that out. Put it in our pot of bits. Change my socket. You have to excuse me, I'm trying to do all this one-handed as I'm on my own here today. I'll undo this other port. I'm assuming this is where they put either a pipe in or possibly a different location for the bleed nipple. So as it is like just a bleed nipple blank. So I'll pull that out. Now we've done that, we can separate the caliper. Going back to the other caliper for a second, if the pistons do move, you can very often use compressed air to blow the pistons out. If you've got a compressor with, say, 150 psi or something behind it, it'll usually blow them out. But these ones are completely solid, so we're having to drill the hole in the piston, tap it, and pull the piston out. So, see if I can get these to crack off with one hand. I'm probably going to try and pull it out of the vise. Yeah, I'm going to try and pull it out of the vise. So, 1 second. So I have to put the camera down for a second. Right, I've just cracked them off from a breaker bar. I did try my impact on the other one, but they were that tight they wouldn't come undone with the impact gun. So undo these. Very difficult one-handed. There we go. I'm just going to put that in there. There we go. Here's your two halves of the caliper. And for a second, just move this one out of the way. There we go. As you can see, very crusty, very corroded, and very, well, horrible. So that bit there where my thumb is, that is where your brake fluid comes through the caliper to fill this half up to push the piston out. And what you've got, if you've got a rubber seal here, which comes in the rebuild kit, so we flick him out, it's gone. So now that is stripped other than the pistons. So I will quickly drill the holes in the pistons, and then we'll extract the pistons and extract the seals. So we're back in 1 minute. Right, I've drilled the holes and I've tapping this one at the moment. I've actually gone through, I've just got one to tap out. You can see there is the hole, focuses, no threads in it. So we will undo this. There we go. And we've got, if it focuses, a nice thread in there. I've done them at M10. It's a nice universal size. We'll wind the bolt in. Hopefully it extracts this seized piston. it's a bit tight. Come on. Is it going to move? Or is it going to pull the threads out? There we go, she's moving. There we go. It's moving now. And going fairly easy now. And here we go. One seized piston. So you can see, rusty, horrible, knackered. So as you can see inside the caliper, you've got the screwdriver where it is now. That is your main seal to seal to the piston. Then you've got your dust cover, which sometimes you can do it like this. If not, I'll do it the way I usually do it. Right. That. Okay. Right. Now the piston's out, the easiest way to get these dust seals out is you can just see the edge of it there. So what I do, get a screwdriver in there, give it a tap, which I can't do at this moment in time because I've got a camera in my hand, and then that will go in and it'll pull the seal straight out. So I'll quickly do that just now. There we go. Just give it a tap like that on the edge. All I've done was put the screwdriver like that, give it a tap, and then you can again get in there, give it a push, come straight out. Very easy. The other seal, you're going to want some sort of pick to get in there. Just push it in, give it a try and hook it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't like coming out. There we go. And pull it out. Job done. So that is that half stripped. Now, don't worry about all this swarf and mess and everything else. Obviously, they're going to get thoroughly cleaned. So, one thing that you need to take note of is make sure this groove in here, where the seal sits, is thoroughly clean. No corrosion, no nothing like that in there. Give it all a good clean out. And make sure it's all really, really nice. Same with this here, with the new seal is going to sit in here. Get all of this corrosion out. So that way the new seals won't nip the pistons. So the bore itself doesn't actually have to be perfect. I've seen a lot of people say that it has to be really, really nice. The bore and the calipers has to be perfect. No, it doesn't. The piston has to be perfect, as that's the bit that's moving in and out of the seal. The bore on the caliper doesn't have to be perfectly smooth and no scratches or anything like that in it. That's a load of bollocks. So as long as it's clean and the groove there where the seal goes isn't badly damaged or badly corroded around the seal, then you're fine. If, for example, it is a wheel cylinder, there's a wheel cylinder at the back of this Stag, that's different. The seal is actually on the piston, so the bore inside the wheel cylinder has to be perfect, otherwise it's going to leak. So that's the caliper stripped. I'm going to do this other half, thoroughly clean it all up and get them painted, and then once they're painted, so I'm going to get them painted, leave them to dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'll record again, putting the new seals in and reassembling them. So that'll be it for the calipers just this minute. So we'll come back with all the calipers all cleaned up and looking nice and smart and spick and span, and we'll then be over onto the clean bench to assemble them. So we'll see you shortly. Right. We'll pick up from where we left off yesterday. Excuse me a second. We have cleaned and painted all the caliper components with high temperature paint. We masked off the sealing areas, and obviously the bore where the seals and everything go. Everything's thoroughly cleaned, ready to be reassembled. I have already done one caliper, and that's all back together and ready to refit to the car. So, how do we put the calipers back together? We'll start with this half as it's slightly easier. It'll be easier for me to show you on the camera. So we've got the caliper half, and we get one of our new seals. We grab a little bit of tissue. I'm just going to make sure that that groove is thoroughly clean before we go and put the seal in. Get rid of any last bits of dirt. That off. Right. Make sure there's no bits of dirt on the seal. There we go. And then we're just going to feed the seal into the groove. Just work it round, feed it in. There we go, that's in. Just like that. And then you just want to run your finger around the seal and make sure it feels nice and even all the way around. Make sure it's not in and out. If it is, then you've always got some dirt or something behind it and it's not sitting right. So that's in. Then we'll grab one of our new pistons. Nice new shining stainless steel piston. And we'll give it a clean, make sure there's no contaminants on the piston. So, add a bit of tissue and some cleaner. A bit of white. Just let it dry off. There we go. Now the new kits do come with an assembly grease. I personally don't use it as I don't like the idea of anything being in there other than brake fluid. I don't like the idea of contaminated brake fluid. So what I use is just some clean brake fluid. Get some brake fluid on your finger, smear it round, just to help lube it in. Do the same on the seal. And then we'll fit it. Now, what we do is we give it a little wiggle, nice and square. Little wiggle. That's it. You should be able to just push it in your hands. If it doesn't go in with your hand, there's an issue, and it's not right. If you have to force it in, or anything like that, stop. There's something not right. You should be able to just push it straight in like that. Then we've got our dust seal. Again, we'll just put a little tiny bit on there with our finger just to help lubricate it. And we'll fit him. Push him in all the way around. Make sure it's nice and in, not nice and flush, not twisted or anything like that. Now this is the fun bit, getting the retainer on. It can be a little bit fiddly. You should be able to just start it. Like so. And then just give it a little tap. There we go. That's all it takes. Nothing should be forced. If you're having to put pressure on it or try and force it in, it's not right. It shouldn't be forced. And that is that half done. So we'll do that half and get it assembled, get the caliper together. So on this half, I've already tapped out the holes for the bolts. You'll see why in a little while. So the bolts now just wind in my hand, and that's so I can put thread lock on the bolts and then torque it to the correct specifications. If you don't do that, when you come to torque it up, you won't have the correct clamping force on the two halves. So we'll do it again. With the tissue. And this half's a little bit more fiddly because you haven't got such good access. Feed the seal in. So, make sure it's seated nicely. A bit of brake fluid. And our last piston. Obviously when I'm cleaning these, I'm just checking for any defects, make sure they haven't been accidentally dropped or anything like that, or damaged in transit. As I said earlier, the pistons have to be absolutely perfect for the seal. There we go. Nice amount of brake fluid on it. Give it a little wiggle. So when you're doing that little wiggle, you'll feel it just starting to locate in the seal. If you just try and force it in, you could tip it, twist the seal, and you can have issues. So that's in now. There we go. Slides in beautifully. A little bit of fluid on the dust seal. Carefully feed in round. A little bit fiddly getting there. There we go. So it's nice and even all the way around. Retaining ring. Pushing in as much as possible with our hands. So, give it a little tap. That's all it takes. No force, no struggling, no nothing. And that's done. So we'll now move the brake fluid away. Get our last seal, one that seals the two halves of the caliper. Don't forget it, otherwise you'll have brake fluid leaking everywhere. Put them in there. And make sure it's seated nicely, not twisted or anything like that. Half the caliper. Get the bolts and some thread lock. A nice generous amount of thread lock on them, because you really don't want these things coming loose. Socket gone. That's some torque wrench. Just nip them to start with. That's it. And these are torqued to 50 foot-pounds. Hence why I cleaned the threads and the bolts and tapped them out, so that way you get the correct clamping force on the new seals and the 2 caliper in general. 50 foot-pound. Okay. Right, that's set. Put this in the vise, and I'll bring you over in a second. Right. There we go. We'll get it torqued up if I can hold it one-handed. There we go, there's that one. Just double check that one. There we go. And when you're torquing bolts, don't do what I see a lot of people do and jerk the torque wrench, because it's not correct torque correctly. You need to do it in a smooth one motion to get the correct torque. And there we are, guys. Other than the bleed nipple and the blanking plug, which I'll do now, that is finished. So let's just put these in. So we'll put the bleed nipple in there. Blanking plug in there. And there we go. That is how to rebuild brake calipers. Very easy, very simple. And it makes you wonder why there's so much money, doesn't it, to buy new? But they're very easy to do when you know how. So that's it. Fully reconned brake calipers. Here we've got another Stag. They keep coming in. This one is an very early Mark II. So it's got the Mark 1 body shell and doors on it. If we open the door, the latches are different. If no one knows, Mark 1 has different latches, which means the body shell is different. Well,
the B post itself is different on the Mark 1, and the very early Mark 2s had these doors and latches as well. It's a manual overdrive car, which is fairly rare these days, as there weren't many of them in the first place. Most of the Stags were auto. It's also got a slightly tuned engine in it as well, which we'll go on to in a minute. And this is in just for a few little jobs. I've actually done most of them now. I had things like the headlight bulb out on the front, tacho wasn't working, the bonnet didn't open and close properly because the stay was fitted up incorrectly, and we've then got to give the whole car a really good thorough clean up and polish it, as it's white. It's a little tiny bit dull and got some scratches now on it. So we're going to give it a really good polish up and polish all the bright work, clean all the wheels up, make it look really spick and span, as it's going to be up for sale. So if the customer is selling it, so if anyone does want a nice Stag, this one is actually quite a nice car. Please get in touch with us and we'll be happy to talk you through it and let you know any more information you want to know about the car. You're more than welcome to pop up and see it. And if you want to do a deal with the customer, we can put you in touch with our customer to speak to him and possibly buy it. So if you are interested in one, let us know. We'll show you the engine. So this is ideal for someone to take on and do a bit of clean up work over the winter. Things like it could do with the rocker covers coming off and painting back silver. The engine bay itself is actually very, very clean. It does want a proper clean though. So it's ideal for someone to take on and tinker with over the winter. Cleaning it, for example, that's really all it needs. Engine wise, it has been rebuilt at some point, I'm not sure when. It's then had, we believe it's had some cylinder head work done and had the ports opened out on the heads. It's got tubular exhaust manifolds and it's got a Holly 394 barrel carburetor on it. And it does run and sound extremely nice. I can't start that right now because it's low on fuel. But if anyone does want to hear it running, again, get in touch with us and I'll do a video for you of it running. It's had the alternator relocated as well, which is kind of a good thing to do on the Stag. One, it gets it out from down there where it gets muck and crap in it. And two, that's because of the tubular exhaust manifolds. You can't have the alternator in a standard place with these manifolds on it. So the car is very, very, very good, and it is actually quite a straight car. I know white Stags and Stags aren't everyone's cup of tea. The hood is in fairly good condition as well. It just wants a bit of titivating. It could do with a different back bumper put on it, as the back bumper is probably the worst part of the car. Other than that, it's a nice car. So yeah, if anyone's interested in a Stag, yeah, please get in touch with us and we'll be more than happy to talk you through any more information and put you in touch with the customer. So that's pretty much all we've got this week. The TR8 is leaving for the dippers on Tuesday, the 3rd. So that'll be going on Tuesday. We'll get some photographs and of that loaded up leaving to go to the dippers. It's going to be part of our portfolio, and we'll put that in the video as well next week. But I don't think we're going to be on the TR8 next week. I'm still waiting for the powder coating to come back. I did speak to them in the week and they're getting on it now, so we should have that by the end of hopefully by the end of the week. I really do hope we have that back because I can then do some more videos on it and some more work on it. But we have got our work cut out on the green one, and of course we've got a couple of days on this to clean it, machine polish it and make it look all spick and span. So TR8 probably won't have much done on it next week. If it does, it'll be very, very little. So yep, that's where we're up to this week. So please like and subscribe and we'll see you next week.